Hi everyone. I really would love to share with you some thoughts on the divine energy within us and especially on the twin flame journey. I feel that's very important, and I'm gonna share with you one of my experiences since yesterday with the Kundalini energy. It was really amazing. Now, when we talk about the twin flames, we speak very often about the Kundalini awakening within us, but sometimes we forget that Kundalini is the divine feminine energy within us, and there's the other part, the divine masculine energy, and these two are ultimately the same thing, but the most important part is what does this divine energy mean? Like, how do we use it? How do we connect with it generally? As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do a separate video with our members on exactly how to do that, on how to merge with the divine energy, how to merge with any kind of energy generally. I think it's gonna be very interesting. So the divine energy within us is actually where we come from. It's our seed, our root. And when we are on the twin flame journey, this just awakens these powers even further within us, and we are able to better connect, to tap and to understand the divine within us, which is amazing. And this is an experience that we are given so that we can help this world unite as one. Now, we spoke about choosing your side on the energy updates from the previous two videos, and you would ask me then, where is the unity here? Actually, that's one of the main missions I feel for all twin flames, because it is not about us. When we tap on the twin flame journey, we have to understand that it's not about us. It is not about our selfish selves, but it is about tapping into your center, into your own balance. And this is the area of the heart and solar plexus. If we speak about chakra system and energy fields generally, this is awakening the love within us, and we are talking about the ultimate source of love, and that's exactly the divine energy within us. Because this love has no boundaries, it has no reasonings, it has no prejudice, and it is the most peaceful and exciting thing at the same time. Now, we have to forget about our sorrows, about our grief, about the separation and all this. We really have to come out of this, guys. Each one of us is very well positioned, even geographically, all over the world. And each one of us, we are part of different society layers, and that is on purpose, so that we are spread everywhere. It is that big, because we are pure carriers of the divine energy. We are messengers of it. But like I said, we have to expand this further and learn to understand this power within us. I'm putting this in inverted commas because this power within us is ultimately us, and that's ultimately God. right? Here is not to say I am God and to put the ego on this type of notion. No, it's just the opposite. It is really to become one with your divine energy, and through it to give it to the world, to spread it in the world. We really are not these emotions, we really are not these traumas, we really are not these sorrows. We are children of God, all of us, and we are carriers of all this, and we are here to spread the message, to give it to humanity. This is the true awakening. This is the essence of true awakening. It's not just to expand your heart chakra and bang, I am awakened. That's just one small step of the whole thing. Now I'm going to share with you my experience from yesterday, and maybe you will understand me better, because I know that the way I express myself sometimes can be very abstract. But as a projector, that's life. So anyways, we saw rain in the distance, and usually we have a very specific microclimate in our area, and most of the times when it rains, even 10 kilometers away from us, the rain never even reaches us, unfortunately. And I was looking at the rain in the distance, admiring its beauty, and I was like, oh, probably it's going to surpass us again, and we are not going to see this rain, and we really need it in the garden. Our grass is all burned out, everything is very dry. And then all of a sudden my Kundalini just rose all the way up. I felt her power, and I was like, no, this time I'm not letting this happen. And I just merged with my Kundalini, and we merged with the rain, and we brought it up here. And literally like seconds right after this, it started raining. And I was so happy finally to feel the purification of the water coming from the sky, because each element has its beauty and its importance. And when we don't experience one of the elements from nature for a long time, we start to be depressed or anxious, because we feel the incompleteness of nature. And I felt with all my heart that this was my deed, and at the same time it was not, because it was the nature's deed, and it was the Kundalini's deed, because ultimately Kundalini is actually nature here, Mother Nature. And it felt, I didn't feel like happy, like I achieved something, but more like I just felt complete. And it felt good, but in a way that I finally understood. And I can tell you that all the moments when I let Kundalini truly express herself through me, these were always moments of pure divine energy, because in these moments I don't even need to reason a lot. I just know what I have to do. I just know what is coming. I can see it, I can feel it, I know it's right, and now I know this is the thing for me. And there's no surprises around you, because you are just merged with your whole environment, and you are a part of all this process of evolution of nature itself. And I truly believe that this is how humanity should live. This is the only way we can really achieve this peace, love, and harmony we are all craving and talking about. And I know it is because I have experienced it in these states only. Any other times when, you know, I'm trying to achieve peace within myself somehow, maybe I will achieve it, but it's going to be very for a very short period of time. Is when I'm fully immersed with the divine within myself, I feel just complete. And in these moments, you are not craving for a lot in this world, you know that happiness is all around you and you can feel it. There's all anxiety and depression, everything just goes away because you're pure love. But this is the divine love we're talking about. There's no ego there, no selfish spirit, no channeling of anything, which I really believe is the most important part, because when we start channeling stuff, this is when we know we are not actually in the divine love itself, because the voice of the divine speaks directly through you, and this is not speaking through the mouth. This is speaking in your bloodstream, doing what you know you have to do and trusting it 100% and knowing that it's going to work, because you are the messenger of the divine and you are the divine itself. I hope this video helps you to understand better the Kundalini within, the higher self within, the divine within, and how we are here to use it. And as twin flames, that's really a big part of our mission here. And it doesn't matter what your personal mission is and how you're gonna apply this. The most important is to find a way to apply it and to focus on your journey without putting yourself in the center of this journey, because the self is really not important. What is important is to merge the self with the divine. Then everything becomes important. I love you loads. See you soon.